We are live, ladies and gentlemen. Hope everyone's doing great. I hope everyone's doing great. We are back with the 10th episode of Snack and Chat. Haven't done one of these in quite a bit. Haven't done one of these in a month. Haven't been in front of a camera in like a month. So that's that's a record for me there. But anyways, let me just make sure the stream is going good here. Let me just double check. Make sure we're all good. Yeah, we're good. We're good, ladies and gentlemen. We are good, and we got a lot of movie news to talk about. But before we get to that movie news, I first, I first want to thank all of my Kid Critic subscribers and supporters out there because we finally have reached 100 subscribers. I believe we're currently at 101 subscribers. So definitely pat yourselves on the back because you guys definitely deserve that. We have grown over 20 subscribers in like the last week and a half or so, or 2 weeks. Absolutely insane. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you very much. But with that said, we got so much movie news to cover. It's absolutely ludicrous, even though all of Hollywood is shut down. But that means, but there's still movie news. So we got lots to talk about. So let's start getting right to it. And the first thing we'll talk about is something that released yesterday. Yes, I believe yesterday. I believe released yesterday, and that is the first images of um of 2020, or I believe it's supposed to come out in 2020, and that is Dune. Dune. The first images have released showing some of the cast, such as Josh Brolin, Timothy Chalamet, Oscar Isaac, Rebecca Ferguson, Zendaya. I saw these images, and first of all, the costumes look awesome. Like Josh Brolin, his costume, oh, that looks mean. That looks awesome. Um, I saw these images. I'm like, wow, I forgot how stacked this cast is. This cast is stacked. Like I forgot Oscar Isaac was in this movie. I even forgot Timothy Chalamet was in this movie. Jason Momoa, Rebecca Ferguson. I love Rebecca Ferguson. Totally forgot she was in here. And I gotta be honest, I'm pretty excited for this movie. The costumes look great. The pictures are awesome. The Oscar Isaac, you see Josh Brolin in the background. That picture looks awesome. And then the one with where they're all lined up with all those guys lined up in like their black suits. And I'm pretty excited to see this movie. So I'm sure you guys are too. Denis Villeneuve, love him as a director. As my Sicario is just one of my favorite movies of the last decade. Obviously, he did Blade Runner 2049. He did Prisoners, which I haven't seen yet, but I have seen Blade Runner 2049. I've seen Arrival. I haven't seen it since it came out though, but I'm very excited for what is to come for 2020's Dune. So let's move on to the next topic, and that is my boy Marty Scorsese, my man Martin Scorsese. He's back at it again, ladies and gentlemen, making those movies that we all love, at least hopefully love. And so his next movie, Killers of the Flower Moon, which is set to star Leonardo DiCaprio as well as Robert De Niro. That is some cast right there, ladies and gents. And he's having trouble shopping this movie around. He originally went to Paramount, who Paramount said that yes, while we can't currently finance The Irishman, we will back up your next film, Killers of the Flower Moon. But the budget got a little bit out of hand, as the budget got up to $200+ million is what Martin Scorsese was asking for. And then Paramount was like, no, especially with all this stuff going on with coronavirus right now. We just can't do that right now. I'm sorry, Marty, but no. And then he went to Universal and MGM, and they both said no. So now this is leading Martin Scorsese to turn to the streaming services such as Netflix or Apple. So we'll see what happens there. But let me tell you something, okay? I love Martin Scorsese. You guys know that I love Martin Scorsese. He's one of my favorite filmmakers of all time, okay? I love me some Marty Scorsese. All right. But why is this movie costing $200 million to make? Like, are you secretly making Avengers Part 10? Like, what are you doing, Marty Scorsese? You can make this for less than $200 million. All right. I mean, I don't know what you're doing here. Just like, what are you doing? De-aging Robert De Niro again? It's like, I don't understand why this movie's costing $200+ million. I mean, if you can make a movie like Seven Samurai, by the way, make sure you check out my Making of Seven Samurai video. Just throwing that out there. But if you can make Seven Samurai for $500,000, you can make Killers of the Flower Moon for less than 200 million plus dollars. That's just absolutely ludicrous. I mean, I don't know. Somebody's got to tell Marty, like, hey, I know you're Martin Scorsese and all, but these $200 million budgets are just getting ridiculous. Like, somebody's got to tell him that. And I'm pretty sure it's dawned on him after going to Paramount, Universal, and MGM that, look, maybe I'm asking for too much money. Maybe I'm, meaning Martin Scorsese, I'm asking for too much money, what you are. I mean, I don't see why this movie's costing 200 million plus to make, but I don't know. Somebody's got to tell him to, like, no, you gotta bring that price down just a little bit, because it's not like your movies make billions of dollars like Avengers Endgame up in here. But anyways, with that said, let's move on to the next topic, and that is Doctor Strange 2 and the Multiverse of Madness. It was rumored that a man by the name of Sam Raimi, was going to direct Doctor Strange 2, and it's confirmed. It is confirmed that Sam Raimi, the director of the original Spider-Man trilogy, will direct Doctor Strange 2 and the Multiverse of Madness. He came out and said this: I loved Doctor Strange as a kid, but he was already after Spider-Man and Batman for me. He was probably at number 5 for me of great comic book characters. He was so original, but when we had the moment in Spider-Man 2, I had no idea we would ever be making a Doctor Strange movie. So it was really funny to me that coincidentally that line was in the movie. I gotta say, I wish we had the foresight to know that I was going to be involved in the project. So Sam Raimi's going to be directing Doctor Strange 2 in the Multiverse of Madness, which I think is pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool that he's going to direct, that he's going to take over for Scott Derrickson, considering he's already dipped his toes into the comic book genre, obviously, as well as the horror genre, because apparently there's going to be some horror elements. I mean, that's what they said at D23, I believe, but I don't know. Maybe they're going to change it up now that Scott Derrickson has left, but I think this is a pretty good choice, and I think it's going to be interesting because we haven't seen Sam Raimi on sitting in the director's chair on a feature film since 2013 when he made Oz the Great and Powerful. So it's definitely going to be really interesting to see how he does. I mean, yeah, I believe he's directed some Ash vs. Evil Dead episodes a couple years back. I mean, I don't watch the show, but I saw on his IMDb that he has, but he hasn't directed a feature film since 2013. So it's going to be interesting seeing that he hasn't directed a film in 7 years or so. So we'll see what happens. And then probably by the time this starts shooting, maybe 8 years, because when does Doctor Strange 2 start shooting? Maybe next year. So let's move on to the next topic, and that is AMC. AMC is not doing so hot right now, folks. AMC is not doing hot right now, folks, and it is scary to hear. All right, ladies and gentlemen, AMC theaters, we all love the AMC theaters, but is AMC going to file for bankruptcy? That is right, folks. Is AMC theaters going to file for bankruptcy? Now, let's start off with this. So a quote has come out from the head honcho at the parent company of AMC Theaters. It's a company out of China. I believe it's called Wanda Group or something. I believe that's what it's called. I'm sorry if I got that wrong. But the head honcho over there came out and said this, because there's been a bunch of speculation saying AMC is going to go file bankruptcy and everything. And he basically said, recent online speculation from the media that Wanda's AMC is filing for bankruptcy is pure rumors. Now, I kind of think this is a little bit of a PR move so that we don't rile people up, and get them all going crazy and everything like we've been going lately. I think this is kind of a little bit of a PR move because, look, first of all, AMC was already in debt before this even started. $4.9 billion in debt before all of this shutdown happened. So there's that. So now their debt's probably even bigger at this point, and theaters aren't going to open anytime soon. We got that for sure. And there have been signals that AMC is going to file for bankruptcy because they've hired bankruptcy lawyers. That's been reported. And look, I gotta be honest with you. I think it's very likely that they will file for bankruptcy because we're barely 1 month in, and there's already a bunch of trails that leads basically AMC to filing for bankruptcy, and we're only 1 month in. And keep in mind, they're already $4.9 billion in debt from all the remodeling they did on their AMC theaters, plus the AMC A list, which they've apparently barely been making money off of, which was the plan. But obviously, this coronavirus thing was not the plan. But let me tell you, when this is all over and when theaters start opening up, if they do, the atmosphere going to the movies is going to be very different. I'm telling you, it's going to be very different. Whether it's going to be an atmosphere of excitement because we're back at the movies, or an atmosphere of worry because, the movie theater is a bunch of germs. I don't want to catch these germs. But it's going to be very different going back to the movies. I'm telling you, if the movie theaters even open back up again. So there's that as well. I mean, crazy madness. And AMC isn't the only one having trouble because the Mouse House, Disney, is also having trouble. Let's talk about Disney for a second here. So back in February, I believe, late February, Bob Iger, the CEO of Disney, announced that he was stepping down from Disney, saying that Bob Chapek, I believe that's how you say his last name, is going to be taking over for Disney. And now, with all this happening, Bob Iger has basically taken back the CEO chair of Disney. Because, yes, while Bob Chapek, I guess, technically is the CEO, I think Bob Iger has basically taken back his CEO chair. I think this just shows that how great of a CEO Bob Iger is. Because instead of like being, oh, I'm not CEO of Disney anymore, it's not my responsibility to take care of this company anymore. Instead of doing that, Bob Iger got back into that battlefield and is right now currently trying to save his company from running into the ground. And that just shows a great CEO. And this makes me want to see a sequel to his book, The Ride of a Lifetime, which is a pretty solid book. I got to say so myself. I definitely recommend it. But I mean, we got to see what happens. And Disney is losing $30 million a day, which is a lot of money considering that their cruise lines are closed, their Disney parks are closed. They're obviously not making any money off of movies right now. But on the good side, Disney Plus is doing pretty darn well lately, which is probably bound to happen with everything that's going on. But we'll see what has to happen. Will Bob Iger be triumphant once again from saving Disney from these traumatic times? We'll have to find out and see what happens in the coming months. And with that said, let's talk about our final topic today, and that is November of 2020. You may be wondering, why am I talking about November of 2020? Well, let me tell you. Because with all these movies being pushed back and delayed, we have 4 big releases coming in 2020. Like, these are like some blockbuster movies we're talking about here, okay? I'm not talking about like some little movie, okay? I'm talking about some big blockbusters. 4 of them coming in November, and those 4 are Black Widow, Pixar's Soul, James Bond, and Godzilla vs. Kong. And by the way, I gotta be honest with you, I feel bad for Godzilla vs. Kong. Because if you guys remembered, Godzilla vs. Kong was supposed to come out in April, but they moved to November because they didn't want competition with Fast and the Furious 9, which is no longer in April. They now moved over to next year. So Godzilla vs. Kong moved to November because they didn't want to compete with Fast and the Furious 9. So they moved to November, and then all this happens, and then all these movies get delayed. So Black Widow gets pushed to November, Soul gets pushed to November, James Bond gets pushed to November, and now the reason why Godzilla vs. Kong got pushed to November was because they didn't want competition. Now they have all the competition in the world, which kind of sucks for them. But, I mean, it's what it is. It's what it is. In the words of Joe Pesci from The Irishman, it's what it is. And I thought I'd do a little thing where I'd be like, okay, so out of these 4 movies, which one would you see? Out of Black Widow, Soul, James Bond, and Godzilla vs. King Kong, which one would you see? Or in this case, which one would I see? I mean, you're welcome to answer the question in the comment section down below. But which one would I see out of these 4 movies? And it's a tough decision because I really want to see Pixar Soul. I love the concept of the movie. I love me some jazz. Godzilla versus Kong. I'm dying to watch Godzilla fight King Kong. Bond. I have to admit something. I've never seen a James Bond movie, so yeah. But out of the four of these, I gotta be honest with you. I would slightly choose Black Widow. Um, the reason being is because, well, first of all, it's an MCU movie. You know, it's a chapter that it's the first film in Phase 4 after the Infinity Saga. So I kind of want to see what's going on there. Plus, it looks like a really fun spy action movie with awesome actors and actresses. Fun story in there. And to be honest, like with Godzilla versus King Kong, yes, I'm dying to see Godzilla fight King Kong. That is like a pay-per-view match all nerds have been wanting to see. But considering the last movie, Godzilla King of the Monsters, the more I think about it, the less I like it. It just gives me less confidence in how good this movie is going to be. I mean, I don't know. I'm hearing these things that the humans are again going to be like the central focus of the film. It's going to be like, I just want to see big monsters fight. That's what I want to see. And then with Soul, yes, I'm very looking forward to it, but I'd probably put Black Widow over it, and then James Bond. As you guys know, I haven't seen the James Bond movie, so there's that. So I'd probably choose Black Widow out of these four films. And another add-on to this topic is that James Gunn has come out and said that Suicide Squad 2 and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 are still slated to come out on their original release dates. So that's pretty cool to hear, especially because James Gunn already shot Suicide Squad 2, and then Guardians 3 isn't slated to shoot until, I believe, next year, maybe. So that's awesome to hear. Some good news there. And with that said, it is a wrap for the first live snack and chat. Thank you for joining us today. It's been fun. It's been fun talking about movies once again. I probably will do these snack and chats live in the coming weeks, especially because why not? So with that said, don't forget to like and subscribe because it is very important. And leave a comment down below. What did you think of the topics that we talked about today on this 10th episode, the 10th installment, of Snack and Chat? And look out for the next video or review. And peace.